Saitama-ken, Japan. My many journeys to Japan always begin at the Hombu Dojo in Matsubushi Town, Saitama Prefecture. There, in the beginning of 2024, I passed the Shihan Master Examination. As you can see from the photographs, one part of the test required me to sit in meditation and then evade a completely silent cut from behind with a shinken, true live sword. Later that year, I returned with many of my students to Japan for an international Taikai, martial arts conference. Here's a picture of our delegation from Wisconsin. After returning to Japan, my eyes were opened, and I began to notice little things that had been there all along, like this small Katori shrine located a stone's throw away from the Hombu Dojo. Only then did I recognize that the Tanemura family name was on the plaque listing the supporters of the Tori Gate. Seeing my teacher's family name associated with this shrine gave me an even greater appreciation for their long-time connection to the local community. In my more than 35 trips to Japan, I had never noticed this, even though I had walked past this building many times. And when I looked at the date, it was also an interesting coincidence that this newly updated Tori Gate was dedicated in 1993. That date was significant to me because it was the same year that I first traveled to Japan to train. In the years before that, I could only see my teacher when Sensei came to the United States. In any case, I now know that the name of the shrine had a deep significance. I never stopped to think what it truly meant until the Taikai. The change came after Grandmaster Tanemura took us to the main Katori Jingu shrine in Chiba. I found out that the shrines were connected, and that the Katori Jingu was one of Japan's oldest and most revered. According to tradition, it has been a place where warriors prayed for centuries. Afterward, I briefly read that some of the stories connected to this were preserved in the chronicles of the Nihon Shoki. In this classic reference, I found that even in the year 720 AD, in some episodes, the sword was portrayed as much more than a mere weapon. To me, the lesson was not really about religious belief. Whether or not someone embraces these ancient stories is a personal matter. But I believe that the values behind them are universal. Looking back now, I realize that many things that my teacher taught me happened in the same way. The answers that I was looking for were right there in front of me all along. My teacher, Tanemura Sensei, never changed. Over the decades, it was my understanding and my recognition of his example that gradually deepened. This is the way that the more profound aspects of martial arts are taught. What is Bikenjutsu? For the samurai, the sword was never just a weapon. Within the Genbukan, when referring to the art of the sword, we use the term Bikenjutsu rather than simply the more common word Kenjutsu. In this case, Bi means hidden or secret. Ken refers to the sword, and Jutsu means art or technique. Bikenjutsu refers to special sword techniques which were intended for both true survival and effectiveness. This is a colorized version of a picture taken in 1970. Takamatsu Sensei is restraining my teacher, Grandmaster Shoto Tanemura. Takamatsu Sensei taught that whether you are using a sword called ken or katana, a spear referred to as a yari, or the staff, bo in Japanese, the body, technique, and spirit must function together as one. Therefore, Genbukan Bikenjutsu training involves not only stance practice, cutting, and drawing techniques, but also cultivation of the spirit. The history of sword in Japanese culture is too deep to be covered in this video. Still, at the end of each chapter, I think it's important for me to say a few words about the development of the sword over time. This introduction should give you a good starting point. The history begins with the development of iron technology itself in ancient Japan. During the Yayoi period, 300 BC to 300 AD, ironworking methods were introduced and gradually were refined. In regions such as Izumo, traditional iron production laid the foundation for the swords that would later become famous throughout the world. Fundamentals of Genbukan Bikenjutsu. Of course, training in Genbukan Bikenjutsu begins with the fundamentals. Students first learn Reiho, bowing methods and etiquette, Kamae, stances, drawing, cuts. All of these elements require correct posture. These basic movements are not merely formalities. They're absolutely essential because each movement requires proper distance, focus, and unity of mind and body. Genbukan Bikenjutsu is organized as a progressive system of study and refinement. Through this training methodology, not only technique, but also the spirit itself is refined. Tatara iron production. Traditional Japanese sword making depended on high-quality iron. The development of Tatara iron smelting also allowed Japanese craftsmen to produce steel needed for weapons, tools, and eventually some of the finest swords ever created. The unique quality of the material used would become one of the foundations of the Japanese sword tradition. Mugen Shinto Ryu Iajitsu. Mugen Shinto Ryu Iajitsu was founded by Yamamoto Kakiyoshi Sensei. Yamamoto Sensei was a direct disciple of Takeda Sokaku Sensei, the famous founder of Daidoru Aikijujutsu. For many years, Yamamoto Sensei cared for Takeda Sensei and remained by his master's side until the day of his death. Takeda Sensei transmitted numerous sword techniques and traditions to Yamamoto Sensei. These included Onoha Itoru, Jiki Shinkageru, Shindo Seiburu, and others. Yamamoto Sensei studied these traditions together with the principles of Daito-ryu. After more than a decade, these developed the source of what would become Mugen Shinto Ryu Iajitsu. Within Mugen Shinto Ryu, students studied seated techniques, half-standing techniques, and standing forms. In this school, solo Eiajitsu training is also an important method for confronting and refining oneself. It's important to remember that at the moment the sword is drawn, there can be no hesitation. For this reason, Eiajitsu training has the potential to penetrate deep, all the way to the level needed to forge the spirit of fortitude itself. This school was formerly transmitted from Nagao Zenryo Sensei, the last student of Yamamoto Sensei, to Tanemura Sensei. The Mugen Shinto Ryu Iajitsu masters in this photograph from left to right are Hanshi Koutaro Tanemura, Nagao Zenryo Sensei, and my teacher, Soke Shoto Tanemura. This is one of the Grandmaster certificates received by my teacher from Nagao Zenryo. Now through Tanemura Sensei, we also have the opportunity to experience this amazing tradition directly. The age of Tsurugi. During the Kofun period, 300 to 538 AD, double-edged swords known as Tsurugi became widely used. These early weapons with straight blades differed significantly from the curved swords associated with later samurai culture. Although more simple in appearance, they still represented an important stage in the development of Japanese swordsmanship and military technology. Partner training and combative principles. Within Genbukan Bikenjutsu, there's not only solo training, but also paired partner practice. Through this type of training, students learn real distancing, timing, and interaction with an opponent. Historically, these arts developed for real combat situations. For this reason, students must develop the ability to perceive correctly and react instantly. Within the Genbukan, students progress step by step through structured partner training. Only when body, technique, and spirit unite can true swordsmanship emerge. Development of the Tachi. As warfare evolved during the Heian period, 794 to 1185, mounted warriors required weapons that could be used effectively from horseback. Partly for this reason, swordsmiths gradually developed the curved Tachi. Unlike the later Katana, the Tachi was suspended from the belt with the cutting edge facing downward. The transmission of classical sword traditions.
Dojo 規定
This is the fifth and final Dojo Kite.
5. 心常に中高の道を離れず、深く文武に志すべし。
5. Keep the heart aligned with loyalty and duty, and commit deeply to both intellectual and martial art cultivation. The first part about loyalty and duty are the most important aspects and must never be forgotten. We must honor our teachers and respect them for what they have taught us. We also have a responsibility to share the insights we have gained if it can help another person. Within the Genbukan, many other sword traditions are also preserved and transmitted. Each tradition possesses its own principles, kamae, techniques, and spiritual perspective. In this introduction, it is not possible to explore all of these systems in depth. However, in future videos, we will examine these individual traditions in greater detail. The Golden Age of Swordmaking. The Kamakura period, 1185 to 1333, is often regarded as the Golden Age of Japanese swordmaking. During this era, swordsmiths refined their methods and produced blades of exceptional quality. Many of the forging techniques admired today reached a high level of development during this period. Living traditions. The most important benefits from classical martial arts are not hidden inside any museum. The best of these traditions are still being transmitted from person to person today. From the time before Takamatsu Sensei to Sato Sensei and Kimura Sensei, and then on to Tanemura Sensei, the line is unbroken. And for people who honestly want to pursue this training, now is actually the best time in history to learn them. The rise of the katana. By the late Kamakura and Muromachi periods, a new style of sword became increasingly common. This type of sword became known as the katana. Unlike the Tachi, the katana was worn closer to the body, thrust through the belt, with the cutting edge facing upward. This allowed for it to be drawn faster and more efficient use in close combat. Finally, polishing the spirit through training with the sword. In Japanese, there is a saying, Katana wa tannaru buki de wa arimasen, bushi no tamashii desu. This means the sword is not merely a weapon. It is the soul of the warrior. The comments have generally been disabled. However, now there is a well-thought-out survey available where you can weigh in on what types of videos you want to see next. Scan the QR code on the screen or use the link in the description below. I look forward to hearing from you.